A very good morning, children. Welcome back to bio class. Today, we are going to learn the seed structure. In the last class, I have explained to you about the double fertilization, and as a result of double fertilization, we have learned that zygote is formed. Zygote develop into embryo, and then this polar nuclei and triple fusion. Uh, Triple fusion results in endosperm formation, and these whole structures are enclosed in the they are in the embryo sac, and embryo sac is in the ovule. Now, post-fertilization changes, we also learned that the ovule becomes the seed. After fertilization, one of the important post-fertilization changes, the ovule becomes the seed and the ovary becomes the fruit. So, seed, you can say that the seed is the ripened ovule. And inside the seed, what is there? The embryo. So, a seed is a ripened ovule containing the embryo formed after double fertilization. So, here you can see this is the ovule. This ovule becomes the seed and this ovary becomes the fruit. And in the post-fertilization changes, we have seen all these parts, their functions are over. So the sepals, petals, stamens, this style, stigma, everything fall off or shed off. And now important is this ovary and the ovule. So ovule becomes the seed. So developed after fertilization of female gamete with the male gamete. It is the result of syngamy. One of the process in double fertilization. This is also fertilization or syngamy. Then it is developed in the embryo sac of the ovule in ovary of a flower. So these are the basic things about the seed. And later the seed develops into young plant, germinate into young plant when favorable conditions are available. Now, I'll show you this is again, we have learned this, just revise. The ovule becomes the seed after fertilization. Ovary becomes the fruit after fertilization. The wall of the ovule, that is, they are called the integument. The wall of the ovule is called the integument. There were two integuments, they become the seed coat. Seed coat is also called the testa, and the micropyle through which the male gametes or pollen tube entered, that becomes the seed pore. And through the seed pore that the oxygen and water enter so that seed can germinate. Then ovary develops into fruit, and wall of the ovary is called the pericarp. Okay, wall of the ovule is called, that is, wall of the seed is called the seed coat. Integuments becomes the seed coat, which is called the testa, and wall of the ovary becomes wall of the fruit. This is called the wall of the fruit is called the pericarp. Now, let us study the structure of the seed. So, seed coat is of course external. Seed coat is testa and then xylem. These are the external parts of the seed. This is the seed coat, the outer covering, which is developed from the integument. And embryo has cotyledon, radicle, and plumule. And there is an embryonal axis which has upper part is called epicotyle and lower part is called the hypocotyle. Okay, so this is the typical structure of the seed. Now, monocot basic structures are same, but there are some differences between monocotyledonous and dicotyledonous seed. Monocotyledonous and dicotyledonous seed, there are some differences. In monocotyledonous seeds, the endosperm is consumed for the early embryo development stage. So, the monocot, in monocot, seeds are endospermic, and Orchids are non-endospermic. Okay. In the cereals of like the cereals are monocots. In such plants such as maize, rice, barley, etc., the endosperm persists after the embryo development. This is called a endospermous. For example, this is maize seeds. We are very familiar with this. And here is the endosperm, and this is the embryo. And endosperm is the nutritive tissue developed by triple fusion, we know already. So here is the seed coat. Sorry, here is the endosperm. And in monocots, what happens? The seed coat and the fruit ball fused. Okay, there is no separate pericarp and testa. They are fused to form the seed. The outer covering of the seed. The fruit and the, because there is no fleshy fruit here, so the fruit ball and the seed coat is fused. And this is the endosperm, and here is the embryo. I've already explained the structure, like the embryo consists of scutellum. This is the cotyledon. Scutellum is the cotyledon. Then there is plumule, which is covered by an outer polyoktile, and radicle with root cap, and root cap is covered by a polyorhiza. So these are the differences between monocot and dicot seeds. Like the scutellum, it's called a scutellum, and the basic structures are same, but there are some differences. Then endosperm is very bulky, as you can see in monocots. Endosperm is bulky, and which stores the food. And the outer covering of endosperm separate the embryo by a proteinaceous layer. There is the outer covering of the endosperm is called a alluron layer, which is rich in protein. This is what is rich in protein, and you can see the embryo is separated by this alluron layer. Okay, that means the outer layer of the endosperm is the alluron layer. Alluron layer is rich in protein, and the endosperm is rich in carbohydrates. So I hope you are familiar with now monocotyledonous seed. So monocotyledon, typical monocotyledonous seed is endospermous or albuminous, which is also called the albuminous seed. Okay. Now come to dicotyledonous seed. So a typical example is this any pea seed, grams, etc., Bengal gram, black gram. All the pea seeds are non-endospermous seeds. Okay, non-endospermous means the endosperm is utilized for the consumed for the development of the embryo. So what happens? The food, stored food is now in the cotyledon. The cotyledon enlarges or swollen due to the storage of food. So when we eat the peas, what we are eating is the cotyledon stored with the food, not the endosperm. So inside the seed coat is the embryo. So this outer thing is the seed coat. This is split. Okay. So inside the seed coat is the embryo, consists of embryonal axis, and embryonal axis consists of a hypocotyle and then epicotyle. Okay, lower portion is hypocotyle, and the upper portion is epicotyle. Now, so at the two ends of the embryonal axis, the radicle and plumule are present. Okay, so seed coat. Then this is not endosperm actually. This is cotyledon stored with the seed. Okay, cotyledon, storage of food is in the cotyledon. So here you should label these are cotyledons. Okay, endosperm is the nutritive tissue which is consumed for the embryo development. Now comes to so this is you have learned that endosperm, first it is the primary endosperm nucleus, PEN, and it will divide and form the endosperm tissue. So food stored for the developing embryo. As I told you, this is endosperm cells are triploid. Ploidy of these cells are triploid because they are formed by, PEN is formed by triple fusion, so it is triploid and it divides by mitosis to form so many cells. So this complete endosperm tissue is formed. And here is the embryo having the structure we learned, plumule, radicle, and cotyledon. And in this integument becomes the seed god. This is revision only. And there is a pore, micropyle becomes the pore for entry of oxygen and water for seed germination. Okay, same thing here. If all endosperm is absorbed by developing embryo, it becomes the non-albuminous or non-endospermous seed. So pea plant is example. Sorry, pea seeds are example for broad bean. So many kinds of peas are there. All those are non-endospermous or non-albuminous. So let us see the difference between endospermous seeds. Endospermous persisting, and non-endospermous, endosperm is or non-albuminous seeds. So all endosperm is absorbed by the developing embryo. Okay. Now comes to again non-endospermous, just see broad bean and maize. Typical example of non-endospermous seed and endospermous seed. See, here is the endosperm. Now here is the aleuron layer that is separating the embryo from the endosperm. So this is the outer layer of the endosperm is proteinaceous or protein containing aleuron layer. Then radicle, plumule, and here is the cotyledon. Monocot, the cotyledon is called a scutellum. And here is the typical dipod seed. There is the plumule, radicle, and the cotyledon. Cotyledon has the stored food. So please write down the question and answer. Differentiate between endospermous and non-endospermous, or albuminous and non-albuminous seeds. Okay. Now we come to fruit. As I told you, the ovary becomes fruit after fertilization. Okay, ovary enlarges many times and form the fruit. And inside the fruit, that the ovule is that the seeds will develop. Seeds are in the fruit, and the outer side is the fruit ball. The fruit ball is called a pericarp, and pericarp consists of 3 layers: epicarp, mesocarp, and the endocarp. And inside there is a single seed. Okay, in here it is a single seed. So this is the typical structure of a fruit. And then fruits are classified into true fruits, false fruits, and parthenocarpic fruits. Parthenocarpic fruits. Let me explain what all are this. A true fruit is the fruit developed from the ovary. It develops from the ovary after fertilization. As we have learned, the ovary enlarges to become the fruit after fertilization. So this fruit is the true fruit. So true fruits are developed from the ovary only. And second kind is false fruit and parthenocarpic fruit. So false fruit, the fruit developed from any other floral part like thalamus or receptacle. For example, apple, strawberry, etc., cashew, etc. are false fruit because it is not developed from the ovary. It is developed from thalamus. Okay, for example, apple, it is developed, strawberry, they develop from the thalamus. The thalamus enlarges to become the fruit. So these fruits are called the false fruit. They are not true fruit because they are not developed by fertilization. Now, parthenocarpic fruits are also false fruit, but this is again developed in a special way. That's why we learn in a separate heading. Parthenocarpic fruit, which is fruit developed without fertilization. Okay, they can be developed from the egg or nucellar cells. So, not from the other floral parts. So, parthenocarpic fruit. Parthenocarpy is the formation of fruits without fertilization. For example, banana. You will not see seeds in there because seeds are the result of fertilization. So banana, there is no seed because it is a part. It's a very typical and familiar example of parthenocarpic fruit. And parthenocarpy can be induced also. Sometimes we need seedless fruits. So we can induce parthenocarpy by hormones such as auxin. For example, seedless grapes. Those green grapes come, they are seedless. And the black grapes are true fruits which have seeds in it. So eating seed is not convenient. No? So the seedless grapes are developed by parthenocarpy. Okay, by they are induced, parthenocarpy is induced in this by certain hormones. So I hope you have understood this. So true fruits are developed after fertilization from the ovary only. False fruits are developed from other parts. Okay, and parthenocarpic fruits are uh, developed without fertilization. These two are false fruits. Both are false fruits. Okay, then comes. See, this is mulberry fruits. I hope you have seen this. So this is a true fruit. Apple is a false fruit. Mango, true fruit. Now cashew, have you seen cashew tree? Then the fruits you see like this. And this is a dry fruit. This is also fruit, but this is not edible. It is dry fruit. Okay, this is fleshy fruit developed from the receptacle, yeah, that is the stalk of the flower. So it enlarges and becomes a fruit. So it's very easy to eat. There is no seed in it. Okay, seeds are here in this true fruit. Okay, inside this is the cashew that we get. That is the seed. Okay. So next question is differentiate between false fruits and true fruits, and then parthenocarpic fruits. Please write the notes. Then comes the here the fleshy cashew apple or cashew nut. Okay, cashew nut we eat. So the swollen succulent stalk. Succulent means swollen. Pedicel and the base together. Okay, the swollen succulent stalk is this one. Okay, succulent, this is the stalk, and this enlarges to become the root like this. So it is called a cashew apple or simply cashew. And what we take nuts from, cashew nut is taken. This is in the true. This is a true fruit, but it is not fleshy. We cannot eat this one. So inside that the cashew is there, we get the cashew from there. So in the tree, this is like this. So this is the see the nut is the dry fruit with the one seed only in each, and both parts is stored seed. Okay. Then stalk this and last two with the fruits like this. Okay. Then okay, children, this is another topic. Okay, we will learn this also. What is this called? Apomixis and polyembryony. Apomixis and polyembryony. Okay. Apomixis and polyembryony. So what is apomixis? This is all slight deviation from the normal reproduction we have learned, normal seed formation and normal food formation. It's slightly different. So let us see the first term, apomixis. Apomixis is production of seeds without fertilization. As I already told you, biologists should be always ready to accept exceptions. So this is an exception. Production of seeds without fertilization, which is called the apomixis. For example, some species of mango, citrus, oranges, citrus fruits, okay, oranges, these, there are many seeds you can see, they are apomictic seeds. Now, actually, there is no fertilization involved for the formation of the seed. That is why it's a form of asexual reproduction, which mimics the sexual reproduction. Okay, because the seeds are formed. So it is seeds are formed by reproduction, but it mimics the sexual reproduction. There is no fertilization. Okay, so these kind of seeds are called apomictic seeds, and the process is called apomixis. So let us see how they are formed. Number one, diploid egg cell. I always ask you ploidy of the egg cell. You say haploid, but this is exception. Sometimes the eggs are formed without reduction, division, or meiosis. So the egg itself is diploid, isn't it? You can see that it is an exception. Normally, egg cell, whenever I ask you ploidy, you say that haploid. But in here, the egg is diploid because it is formed without meiosis. Okay, without meiosis, it's diploid, and this diploid egg cell directly develop into seed without fertilization. Okay, so this is one way of apomictic. So the seed is apomictic seed and formed by the process of apomixis. No fertilization, egg is directly developing into seed. Okay. Now, another way, sometimes the nucellar cells, you know that the embryo sac is developed from the nucellar cell, which acts as megaspore mother cell, right? And so the embryo sac is covered by the nucellar cells. Okay. And sometimes what happens, these nucellar cells protrude into the embryo sac. Okay. And these nucellar cells develop into embryos. So what happens? More than one embryo in an embryo sac. So far, normally we have learned that embryo sac has one embryo, because double fertilization produces one zygote, one embryo. But here, more than one nucellar cell can penetrate into the embryo sac. Okay, penetrate into the embryo sac. Okay, embryo sac. So more than one embryo in an embryo sac. And so this is apomixis, but this is known as polyembryony. Poly means many. So instead of one embryo, there are many embryos in the embryo sac. Okay, so this is polyembryony. Hope you have understood both polyembryony and apomixis. Both are seeds, but without fertilization. Here, and they are diploid because nucellar cells are diploid, you know. And here, a diploid egg cell is there, which is also diploid. So the seeds are diploid. Diploid is maintained, but they are formed without fertilization. Okay. Now, apomixis is very important. Sometimes human beings use it for hybrid seed industry. Okay, hybrid seeds are formed by hybridization, artificial pollination. We have just learned few points about it. Artificial hybridization produces hybrid seeds. Now, these hybrid seeds cannot be maintained. This characteristics that we produced in hybrid seeds may segregate after some time. So it is a loss to the farmers. But if from the hybrid seeds, if we produce apomictic seeds, apomictic seeds are developed from this, and then farmers can use it for producing the seeds without any variation. Now, after when you learn genetics, you will see that how the hybrid seeds can, as the time passes, they may lose their qualities. Okay, that we will learn later in detail. But here, just understand that the apomixis is important in hybrid seed industry. It's good for the farmers because hybrid seed maintenance and production is very expensive. And this can be easily done. So it is used in this industry. Okay. Thank you, children. Please learn this video before you attend the class, and then the next video of next chapter. This is the end of this chapter. So next chapter, I'll give next video. Okay. Thank you very much.